All right, we're back with Dailies today right here on the Morning Crossfire 99.3 Nigerian FM. Kofi Bartels. Very soon we'll be joined by our guest who'll be doing justice to the paper headlines. And of course, we'll be taking your thoughts as we go on, as time permits. But please feel free to call the numbers we usually advertise 0201 277 0993 and 0201 465 7190. I'll take it again 080 0201 277 0993 0201 277 0993. That's the first number to call, and we have 0201 465 7190 being the second number, and that's for our female listeners. WhatsApp number is 08095 975805 08095 975805. That's for those who like to contribute via WhatsApp right here on the Morning Crossfire, and of course Dailies today. Like I said, I'll have a guest joining us in a matter of minutes, and when he comes on, we'll put him on the air. Okay, I can see our guest is already joining in. I guess maybe he beat me to it this time. Okay. Can I see him? Okay, I can see that a guest is set. Please permit me to say good morning to Mr. Majeed. Majeed, good morning to you. Are you there, sir? All right, Majeed, there is a Nigerian for analyst. While he's getting his virtual setup ready, let's just go over today's headlines. I can see the receipt for the papers. I don't know why it was put here. But anyway, okay, Majeed, Dahiru, good morning to you. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you too.
Yes, hope you're feeling better than you were last week.
Yes, much better. Thank
All
you.
right. You know, it's not easy to analyze Nigeria's issues. So sometimes, it could be fiscally straining, but
Seriously.
it could be. All right.
Yeah.
Let's dive straight into it. I will start with The Nation this morning. And a big one on the front page, which it concerns me, Majeed, because we're looking at the minority caucus in the House of Representatives at a time when Nigerians are asking for the opposition to be more virile. We want to see the minority together. It says House of Reps Minority Caucus boils over leadership. House of Reps Minority Caucus boils over leadership. Anti Kingsley Chinda groups set for showdown. Crucial meeting hosted today. We'll look at that later. Tinubu PDP chief hailed Okpeolo's Edo Road Revolution. Some people normally say on this station that nothing is happening in those states. Okpeolo is not doing anything. So I don't know if that is a lie from the paper or not. First Lady, teachers are real heroes. Alausa eulogizes tutors. That's the Minister of Education, medical doctor. Dangote, Ethiopia Prime Minister break ground on $2.5 billion fertilizer plant. Talk about the stone that the builders rejected. Imisi wins 150 million naira grand prize of BB Niger Series 10. Nigeria's oil rigs increase by 700. What's this? 7? No, I can't see what this is. Okay, 762.5%. 400 oil fields dormant, and federal government excited by 8 billion naira liver transplant private hospital built by Nigeria. All right. So, Majeed, let's start with the House of Representatives. We all know what's happened to PDP and the opposition. Seems that they're not together, but House of Representatives caucus is where the disagreement now lies. Paper says pro and anti Kingsley Chinda groups are set for showdown. That's your backyard, Majeed.
The National Assembly. Well, when you hear such issues in the National Assembly, one thing I can assure you is not always about the people. It's not about virile opposition. It's not about holding government to account. It's usually about the struggle, the fight for the pecs that are equable to that office of minority leader, because it's part of the leadership of the National Assembly. So in the National Assembly, you have the leadership cadre. This leadership cadre comprises the Senate President, the Deputy Senate President, the Majority Leader, the Deputy Majority Leader, the Minority Leader, the Deputy Minority Leader, the Chief Whip, and the Minority Whip, and their deputies respectively. They constitute the leadership of the National Assembly. So what happens is that whenever your budget goes to the National Assembly, a sizable chunk of this budget is reserved for the leadership to nominate projects in their respective geopolitical zones. It's called regional intervention projects. So whereas an ordinary non-leadership member of the National Assembly will have a certain amount of money allocated to the offices or the constituencies for constituency projects, this category of National Assembly members that are in the leadership cadre often get something much, much heavier, something bigger. So usually the struggle is for people who want to displace one another so as to occupy that position in order to exert that influence. So if you look at the dividends of democracy in quote that members can take back home, those are like in the leadership position often take something much bigger. If you look at their media activities when they are doing empowerment and all of that, you will discover that there's something much heavier when it comes to members that are in the leadership. So that is about what this struggle is. It is not really about having a voice on the floor or trying to challenge the status quo. I can assure you it's not about it.
That being said, do you think this challenge to the minority leaders' position, do you think it's so you're saying it's not in the best interest of Nigerians, but rather it's all about politics?
It's not about you and I at all. It's not about somebody trying to be more vibrant than him, or the complaint is that maybe he's docile. That's not about it. That's not what it is at all. This is what it is about.
I know, having worked in River State for some years, I know Kingsley Chinda is certainly not docile.
Definitely docile. I agree with you.
Yes, and it's one of those politicians who will not speak carelessly, and also you'll not see making a lot of noise, but does a lot at the background. I'm not saying that because I worked in River State, but I actually saw it. No,
he's an intellectual. I must give it to him. I think he's being restrained by the system. He's being restrained by the system that is operating within. How do I mean? You see, Chinda has a background in human rights activism.
Yeah.
And so, whenever Chinda makes his rare contributions on the floor, you will observe that he hits at issues truly that affect the people. But it is far in between because, again,
okay.
I mean, he's leader in
Majeed, could you please
track?
Could you please track back to a sentence or two because the network interfered?
Okay, what I mean is, as vibrant as Chinda can be, for somebody who's coming from a human rights background, a lawyer with a strong human rights background, he's often restrained by the fact that the leader of his own political family from Rivers, Minister Ezen Wonyeso-Wike, has pledged support ahead of every person for the president and the ruling party in the next election. So Chinda himself will be a bit restrained in the way and manner he's able to actually air his opinions on critical issues that affect the people. Otherwise, he's a very vibrant person. But generally speaking, most members of the National Assembly are not there to actually oppose the president or hold the president to account. No, they are there to simply get what they can get from the dining table where the national cake is being shared. So this battle you are saying is not because they want to do better in terms of holding government to account, because as a minority leader, actually, the minority is supposed to be the hotbed of opposition politics in the parliament. But the minority leader is supposed to be, in fact, like what you have in the UK, your Q&A session, when the leader of the opposition confronts the head of government every Wednesday in Parliament in UK. It's supposed to be the case that minority leaders in both chambers are supposed to be blazing hot when it comes to speaking out, holding government to account, both within and outside the chambers. But we've not seen that kind of politics for some time now in the National Assembly, because it's about personal interest across party lines. It's not about collective interest to make democracy viral anymore. So that's what I'm saying. I suspect strongly that whatever tussle you see happening now, it's not because China is not about technology, it's just because of that office, the PECs.
PECs. Okay.
And the advantage that comes with that office of management, that it's part of the leadership position in the National Assembly.
All right, so this,
and it's a very lucrative position.
Yeah, right. So these people are just out to seize the opportunity to push themselves up. Maybe it can be likened to giving a dog a bad name just to hang it. When
that's all. That is what it usually is.
All right. Let's look at the nation's natural resources. The Nation newspaper is really has a positive spin to it this morning. It says Nigeria's oil rigs increased by 720. So I had to start out when I was reading that. Okay, I wasn't sure I was seeing it well. 762.5% increase in Nigeria's oil rigs. 762.5%. 400 oil fields dormant. That is quite interesting. What are your thoughts on this? Is this a reason for Nigerians to have a better feeling about the economic situation in the country?
Okay, now the direct outcome of this increase in number of rigs operating in Nigeria, this phenomenal quantum leap in the number of rigs operating in Nigeria, is what you can notice by way of an increase in crude oil production. We are nearing the 2 million barrels per day mark, and they are optimistic that we might actually surpass it. I mean, for a country of 200 million people, Nigeria shouldn't be doing less than 5 million barrels per day, and we could even do better. But because of lack of investment in the upstream for about 12 years before the Tinubu decision came on board, we didn't see this level of about President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. I have had this reason to disagree with a lot of his policies, even in the oil sector. But there's one thing I must give to him. He's a business-oriented kind of politician too, who has mastered the art of deal making. So you see, throughout his numerous trips, he has been able to convince investors to come back into that sector. And for the first time in 12 years, approximately over $50 billion inflow, both in commitment, firm commitment, and actual inflows have been experienced in this sector. And so that is why you are seeing the number of rigs increasing and production also increasing concomitantly. But how that now impacts on the lives of the people is a different ballgame.
That's where I want you to head to, because I mean, hearing that we had 8 rigs. Now those 8 rigs have now risen to 69 over the past 4 years. Yes, and of course these are not new rigs, are dormant rigs. Some will ask, you talk about $500 billion coming in investment. Of what use is this to the common man? I'll also add to that front page big story from Vanguard. $92 billion or dollar lithium rush leaves Nigerian investors behind. And of course, Muda Yusuf, whom you know, says why domestic investors are not yet there. Foreign investors should not own mines 100%. Miners. Nasarawa leading in lithium mining friendly policies. Governors SA. No special policy on lithium. Federal government. This is a mineral that should make Nigeria a very wealthy country because of the green energy boom. So all these things, what's in it for the average Nigerian? Be that the rig increase or the lithium rush, as the paper calls it. What is in it for the common man?
Okay, first, on the issue of the rig increase and the increase in investment as well as outputs in oil production, if only our leaders can judiciously manage these resources and channel them to the people, I'm sure by now we would have been seeing improvement in our lives, in the welfare and in our security. But the biggest factor militant against this is, of course, what you and I know, corruption. Now, on the issue of lithium and other solid minerals that are abound in this country, you see, I've always been of the opinion that heavy lifting investment that involves solid mineral mining and conversion to primary finished products for industrial use, such as lithium, for instance, has to get government involved in the initial processing. You see, if you leave your mining sector entirely to so-called price sector or foreign investment speculators, you will discover that most of the foreign investors coming into the country, particularly from China, are state-owned capital, state-owned entities from China. It's like Chinese government.
Oh, really?
It's coming to your own country. Exactly. Now, the lesson here for me is this. National state government, I don't know if they have, but it will be imperative for them to establish a lithium mining company as a state-owned enterprise. And then you can go into partnership with major global mining corporations. With
all right, apologies for that.
This solid mineral, so that the state can get a share beyond those taxes and royalties, a share in this wealth, which they can now channel to the people's welfare and security. This is the model that I think works. Anything other than this, anything other than state participation, fully, seriously, and with all the commitment it deserves, the people will not get the benefit of this solid mineral that abound beneath their soil, and government will only continue to get pittance. Why governments of other jurisdictions, whose agents are operating in Nigeria, will continue to go fat and wealthy. And at the end of the day, we'll have to go back to them to ask for loans from the same money they make from you. If you look at the balance of trade between us and China, you discover it's only a fraction of their profit from Nigeria that they give to us as loans through the Belt and Road Initiative to construct railways and other infrastructure. So I've always believed that government has a role in the means of production, particularly heavy lifting investments like mining must be borne by government. And thankfully, Nigeria's fiscal structure makes government earn money every month without necessarily having to work through monetary allocation. That money should be converted into seed investment, into areas of comparative advantage across the board, so that we can deepen our diversity and grow the wealth of our nation. So I want to believe now that if the governor of Nasarawa State has not thought of this, he should know that he cannot rely entirely on foreign investors. It will be exploitative.
All right.
We must have a safeguard by having our own entity, like other developing economies did across the globe.
All right.
Nigeria cannot be an exception.
You talked about state governments being able to just sit back and receive allocation without doing anything, and that leads us to another story on the front page of today's Vanguard. Serap, they are at it again, and they're asking governors to account for 14 trillion naira in fuel subsidy savings, which, of course, the president keeps saying, even in his anniversary speech, Independence Day speech, as some call it, that he had shared to the state governors. This is 14 trillion naira. What have they done with it? Serap is threatening to sue them if they don't account for this. Of course, you know what will happen, and they won't account for it. So what are your thoughts on this, Majeed?
I think sometimes we are a bit simplistic about this so-called savings on subsidy. I can assure you today, sir, there is no savings on subsidy removal.
There's no money anywhere.
It doesn't exist anywhere. There's no money anywhere. Because when you remove subsidy for petroleum, whatever it is that you saved has been eaten up, consumed by inflation arising from energy insecurity, energy costs. So, for instance, state governments are paying higher minimum wage today because the allocation increased. But they must pay that higher minimum wage, which is twice what they were paying before, in order to meet up with the current economic situation, which is still not enough. 70,000 minimum wage is still not enough. That's one. Secondly, state governments and governments generally are procuring less with much money today, arising from this same inflationary trend that was brought about primarily by the removal of subsidy on petrol and the flotation of the naira. So whatever it is you think we are going to save has been consumed by the unintended of this subsidy. It is called money illusion. What you have going to the state, as bulky as it is just quantity money without qualitative money. So that is the dilemma. And as we speak, this affects the federal government more than the states, because whereas the federal government has more responsibilities, the states are not taking up as much responsibility as they are supposed to take up, because the federal government is still filling in the gap in areas such as rail line operations, prison or custodial services, which state governments are supposed to be doing now. So if state governments are to take up even 10% of their full responsibilities, if states are supposed to start running their custodial facilities, run their rail lines, or run their tertiary educational facilities to standard, this money will grow thin.
All right. So there's no money anywhere.
There's no money anywhere. That is the reality.
Our listeners should stop calling to say, what happened to the money they saved from fuel service? It's been swallowed up, according to
There's no money saved. That policy was not supposed to have happened in the first place.
Okay. But let's move on to another one. We were talking about natural resources. I mean, oil rigs, of what benefit is it to Nigerians? Lithium rush, of what benefit is it to Nigerians? Nigeria has an abundant supply of natural gas everywhere. To the extent, of course, we've been hearing for decades now, gas flaring. Front page of today's Vanguard. Households suffer as cooking gas shortage worsens. Rises to 25,000 naira. Please, if you're not selling 25,000 naira in Lagos, don't go and increase it because you heard on the radio. I'm begging all of you. Then front page of today's The Guardian. Cooking gas scarcity pushes price to 3,000 naira per kg. This is better because the 25k should be maybe for 12 kg. So 3,000 naira per kg. But I bought yesterday 1,700 naira per kg, and I had to ask the guy, "Are you sure this is the price? Are you sure this is the price?" Because I ended up paying 20,000 to 1,000 naira for one 12 kg cylinder of cooking gas. And now I'm thinking about going to look for another cylinder to fill and keep because of these headlines. What is going on? Why are we going through this in a country that has abundant natural gas?
But the gas does not belong to the people.
Who does it belong to?
It's been outsourced to private capital. You see, this has to do with the model of economy you are running. So the people that are producing gas are private capitalist investors. So they're going to sell according to their cost of production. And for the distributors, if there is shortage from the production point and there is a higher demand, naturally it will push the prices up. So these are the concomitant effects of having an unregulated pricing regime for energy products and services in an otherwise oil-producing country. And Nigeria is the only OPEC country in this category. So for instance, in other countries, let me tell you how it is done. It's as simple as this. The governments of major energy producing countries like Russia, like Saudi Arabia and most of the Middle East countries, like Norway, even France, and many other countries, what they do is, as governments, they have strategic investment across the value chain. So what do? They have to export competitive ventures. Now, from these earnings, they now set aside a fraction to provide for their citizens. That is to address your concern now. What is called energy security. And what is energy security? Energy security is the availability, the accessibility, but most importantly, the affordability of energy products and services. So the profit they make from the operations globally, they now plow it back into taking some of the costs of energy on your behalf of citizens, so that you buy energy, you pay for energy services at a subsidized rate.
So you want
to make your life better.
So that's reintroduction of subsidy.
The affordability component of energy security, I didn't define it as so. It's a global definition of energy security. That affordability component places a responsibility on government to take up cost on behalf of the citizens. And that is called subsidy. It is an economic venture that makes life easy for people. It is not a as was presented in Nigeria.
All right. Well,
so it's a government responsibility. Though today gas can go up, it can come down and injure the economy of citizens. As we speak today, the price of petrol is beyond affordability threshold, and we are grappling with it. The same thing with diesel, the same thing with jet kero. Now, ordinarily, this should not have been the case. What am I saying in essence? We need to rethink our political economic philosophy in Nigeria. Because the model we are operating has created out of Nigeria Africa's richest man and the world's poorest people at the same time.
All right, Majeed,
it is not sustainable.
Majeed, we have to move to another one. Very interesting there. Only God knows how this increase in the price of cooking gas will affect food, which is something that people need every day. The price of food. Now, the Guardian has on its news pages is paying attention to the tinted glass permit brouhaha. I don't know if you're part of those who parked their vehicles at home. With I think former police public relations officer saying on X, I saw over the weekend that don't allow yourself to be used as an example. Here in some parts of the country, people are parking their cars at home. But this is what the paper says. Confusion as status quo order pits police against NBA. The issue is status quo. What is the status quo? Court didn't buy enforcement, police argue. Order controversial, lawyer laments. Now, this is what the paper says. Nigerian motorists are now more confused about whether to obey police and pay for the tinted glass penalty. I think it's 24,000 or thereabout, or ignore it as being pushed by the Nigeria Bar Association, who says they should ignore it. So what are your thoughts on this ex parte order, which is called ambiguous by the paper? It says this followed the ambiguous ex parte order issued by Federal High Court in Warri, Delta State, ordering the status quo to be maintained while refusing 3 essential prayers to restrain the police from enforcing the policy. How did we get here?
First, I've always told our learned justices, they are not gods. We are not spirits. When you speak clearly so that you leave no room for ambiguity and this kind of confusion. This is becoming one too many. We are justices who make rulings, and it will take another judge to interpret what the federal judge has said in a more ambiguous manner. I think it's unfortunate. I think it's an embarrassment on the judiciary. I think they have become part of the problem that they are supposed to be solving. That is on one hand. Now, why on earth is an arm of government or an organ of government, the Nigerian police force, hell-bent on making life more miserable for Nigerians that are already grappling with the worst ever cost of existence crisis in our history? I don't call it cost of living crisis. It is cost of existence. Because what is at stake here is hunger. It's not house rent alone. It's not cost of transportation. It's not cost of housing. What is at stake for Nigerians is cost of food that is clearly unaffordable. And now the Nigerian police force, who should understand the security implication of a citizenry that is disgruntled, that is hungry and angry, that should know better than to add to that frustration, is coming up with this policy at a time like this to take more from the people. Instead of you are banning the use of tinted glass for security reasons, or you are putting in measures to make sure that for those who are using tinted glasses are properly identified, to now begin to extort money from everybody who is having a tinted glass in a manner that suggests that this is about revenue drive by the Nigerian police force, not only erodes that confidence that should be between citizens and the police. And I'm wondering why members of the National Assembly, we talked about this matter earlier, leaders of political parties, including the ruling parties, governors, whose citizens are being exploited, and of course, Mr. President himself, are they saying that they've not heard that Nigerians have been put through this level of trauma?
All right.
For people that are already pauperized, terrorized, and traumatized, are they not hearing that this is happening for them to intervene and call the Nigerian police force to order?
All right, but
stop this nonsense?
Majeed, we have to leave it at that. I mean, I'm surprised, and you've landed on a good note that Nigerians are being asked to pay. The amount just escaped me, 20-something thousand naira again, after paying everything and going through all they've gone through over the past few years. Majeed Dahiru, public affairs analyst, thank you very much. I might want to have you back after the news at 9. We'll just sort out and see if we may need to have you back. I'll chat with you, see if that may happen. I don't know if you have the time, but thank you so much for your time. I enjoyed the analysis thoroughly, and we'll hope to have you back next week. Thank you very much. Let's go for the news at 8 right here on 99.3 Nigerian, for after which we'll continue the conversations on the Morning Crossfire. Please stay with us.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.